Pray you gave it all for me. I'll give it all for you. Oh, I'm in love with you. Oh,
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me turn the camera on over here to YouTube. Hey, everybody, I think I'm live on Instagram. On there. All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Let me get the music down. Here we go. All right. Hey, welcome to episode 1281. We're close to 1,300 episodes. Conversation today, the month of September is about distraction and how to become indistractable. And one of the things that did my voice just crack? One of the things, I'm still going through puberty. One of the things that we will learn, one of the things we will become aware of is that as you learn to become indistractable by Nir Eyal. Nir Eyal wrote this book. He also wrote the book Hooked. So he kind of wrote both ends of the spectrum. What hooks us, what grabs us in every time, I was looking for my phone, but it's right here, Instagram. Every time we look for something and we get this little ping in our life, we get the vibration, we even have different rings for different people in our lives. It triggers a chemical response in our body. And we are chemical machines. We are machines that operate on the way our body produces chemicals. See, we have a thought, and a thought creates a feeling, right? So the biggest distraction that we can have is living a partial, I just had a very probably unprofessional thought in my head. Let's just say in that moment of romantic ecstasy, if it doesn't happen all the way, how intense it might be. Did he just say what I think he said? Probably. So I don't listen. If I have very few filters. If it comes in, it comes out. When I say that, because if we live a partial life, we wind up only producing chemicals that give us a partial feeling of what life could be like. Does that make sense? So the biggest distraction we have is being attracted to, is having an addiction to approval, to living a life that is less than 100% of our own. Does that make sense? Are you hearing that? So how do we live a full life? We talk about it all the time. A full life doesn't require you to be exhausted. It requires you to be present. A full life requires you to be present and in the moment. Sadhguru says, choose in this moment, choose joy or choose misery. In this moment, choose joy or choose misery. And if you choose to choose joy, the moment seems to go on forever. So now the question is why would we ever live a partial life? Because we don't know what a full life is. We're afraid of a full life. We're addicted to approval. Our self-talk won't let us. Our programming won't let us. To live a full life, you quantumly leap. You do QLQs, quantum linguistic questions. In psychology, a QLQ is a quantum linguistic question. Goes back to what Einstein said, the problems that are made with the mind of man can't be solved with the same mind that created them. So when you have a challenge, when you have a problem, when you have something in front of you that you need to resolve, most often we go into our archives, aka our memory. We go into our archives to find that place, to find that result, to find that solution for a future problem. Now, most of the times it works, but here, let me let you in on a little secret. Nothing fails like success. Nothing fails like success. Let me explain. If I walked out the house of the cabin here this morning, the same way I walked out yesterday, I might step on one of the dogs, right? We have 5 dogs. I might step on one of the dogs. I might step on something, a shoe that Fiona dragged into my path. If I did it as exactly the same way as I did yesterday, I could fail significantly. And what that means is is that I have to adapt to the moment. I have to be in the now. Now, what happens is that over time, we all wind up creating a habitual life. The brain does two things. Will this kill me? Or how fast can I recognize the pattern? And because it does those two things extraordinarily well, the brain is 3%, 4% of the body's weight. The total body weight that the brain is 2 to 3%. So if something is going to be 2 to 3% of the total, how much of the total do you think it should get? 2 to 3%, right? Well, your brain takes up 20% of your body's consumption of its resources, of its hydration, of its calories, of its all of that stuff. So your brain, 2 to 3% of its body weight, 4% if you've got a big brain, and big brains are good. Big brains are good. It consumes 20% of your body's resources. So now the challenge is that anytime you do something new, when you decide today's the day I live a full life, today's the day I take care of me, today's the day I meditate my 2 hours in the morning, today's the day I decide to eat a healthy meal at every meal. Today's the day I put more more color into my life for fruit and vegetables and all of that stuff. Today's the day that I get my blood checked to find out maybe I'm a carnivore. I have a very good friend who is strictly a carnivore. She eats vegetables, and her blood type, she gets inflammation. So you've got to find out, you've got to take care of you. And when you start to take care of you, it takes some money to take care of you. You'll spend money. Listen, I'm probably, I don't know that I'd fall into the category, but I will say this. There's people who will spend $7,000, $8,000, $2,000 on their dog, on their pet, to take care of them. I absolutely love my pets. And I've spent a lot of money on our animals. The challenge is that at some point, you've got to decide, is it worth it? You'll spend more on something else, someone else, before you spend the money on you. The average American, this doesn't go global, this statistic, from what I understand it as, the average American will spend $600 on the outside of their head. The average, you are all above average. I know that. I get that. Pay attention to the statistic, though. This isn't meant for you. This is meant for why some people find it hard to communicate with you, to have a conversation with you, to connect with you, to follow you. The average person spends about $6 on the inside of their head. 600 on the out, 600 on the in. I'm sorry, 600 on the out, 6 on the inside. So I got a question for you. If most people spend $6 on the inside, would you say they're living a full life? If all of our experiences, all of our talents, all of our skills, all of our resources, all of the things that we call, all of our memories, all of our future dreams, all reside inside our head, it's connected to the ether. Yes, you don't have to start an argument with me about how we're connected to the ether, and we have access to universal source, and God pours into us, and all of these crazy things that most people say, I don't know if I believe that. Well, how's that working for you? So if we choose to live a full life, a couple of things have to happen almost immediately. You cannot live a full life with being stuck in the shadows. And where are the shadows? I call it the plains of your life. The frontier is what's about to come, and the plains are what have been. When you get stuck in the shadows and you step fully out, you will surprise the living bejeebies out of people. How many of you have ever stepped out of the shadows, even if it was for a day, even if it was for a moment, and you did something heroic, you did something magnificent, you did something with such panache, with such ease that people have no idea how you accomplished it? Drop a S in the chat if you've ever stepped out into the world at such a level of awareness, of confidence, only to shrink back into the shadows. So now what happens? So what happens now is that once you stepped out, maybe you got burned, right? Maybe you flew a little too close to the sun and the wax on your wings melted a little bit. Maybe you stepped out so far that the relationship, people said things like to you, here's how you know you stepped far out into the world. Now, sometimes you've done just some stupid stuff. I get it. I'm talking about the spectrum. Stupid stuff over here. Yes, people should say to you things like, well, have you lost your mind? Yet they'll use the same phrase when you do something that's idiotic, that's stupid, that you know you shouldn't have done, right? I know I shouldn't have done that. When you step into that place, and then there's moments where you go to the opposite end of the spectrum, where you feel absolutely confident, absolutely convinced, absolutely focused, with tremendous conviction. You step into this thing and you say, holy mackerel. You use phrases like, you won't believe what I just did. You manifest stuff out of thin air and you say, you won't believe what just happened. And you know what's the phrase is that people will use that are around you, that are close to you, that have a pattern in their mind of you? They will say the same thing when you did the idiotic thing. They will just say the same thing when you live at the extreme of your joy, of your happiness. They'll say, have you lost your mind? And you think they're talking to you. Listen carefully. You need to pay attention to this. I don't tell you often that you should pay attention to things. I'm going to tell you, you need to pay attention to this. Just listen to it. See if it sinks. See if it centers. See if it hits you in a way that you finally have some release, some relief, some possibility. Let me explain this phrase, have you lost your mind? When you step into your joy, when you step into your freedom, when you get the heck out of this pain zone, you call it a comfort zone. That's how manipulated you are. That's how under the ether you are. That's how under the drugs of being controlled you are. You say, I got to get out of my comfort zone. You are so absolutely creating such insanity inside your body when you say that, because why would you ever leave your comfort zone? You're in pain right now. You finally step out and everybody else wants you to be in your comfort zone because misery loves what? Company. So you step out of your AKA comfort zone, your pain zone, into your freedom zone, into your awareness, into your awakening. And people have the audacity to say things to you like, have you lost your mind? Are you crazy? Let me explain the have you lost your mind. Mind, Dr. Joe Dispenza says, mind is the archive of everything that has ever been that happened to us. Everything that's ever been said, everything that's ever been said to you, everything you've ever done, everything you've ever eaten, every place you've ever gone, every place you've ever done something crazy, every place you've done something smart, every place you've had some relationships, everything. Your mind is the archive of everything that has ever happened to you. The start of this program is now in the archive of your mind. Follow me on this. Follow me. So when someone says, have you lost your mind? Listen carefully. We're going to Wayne Dyer the heck out of this one right now. You ready? Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. So here we go. Have you lost your mind? Their mind, what they're saying is they've lost you in their mind. What they really should say is, why have I lost you in my mind? That's what they should say. When you step out and you go get a new haircut, when somebody sees you after 5 or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and you lost 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Oh my gosh, you're so different. What did you do? How did you do? They don't say when you do some good things, have you lost your mind? When you do some incremental things, when you do the quantum leaping stuff, you really piss people off when you do quantum leaping. Have you lost your mind? In their mind, in the archive of their mind, they have a program for you. There's a phenomenon in life called nexting. Nexting allows me to not have to freak out every morning. Is the sun going to be where the sun's going to be? Is the moon going to be where the moon's going to be? Is gravity still going to work? Nexting allows me offers me the chance to give my mind, to give my brain, to give my operating system a chance to habitualize life, meaning run a pattern. You'll follow me on this? Sometimes you wake up. How many of you sleep on the same side of the bed? Drop a B if you sleep on the same side of the bed each night. That's a habitual pattern. How many of you, if you're at an event and you leave and you come back, you go back and you sit in the same chair? That's called herd mentality. That's a habitualized pattern. The brain doesn't want you to have to think. So all of a sudden you step out of this AKA comfort zone, your pain zone, you step into this new freedom. You're like, holy shit, I like this. This is cool. I'm going to do more of this. And somebody says, have you lost your mind? What they're saying is I can't find you in my mind. The nexting pattern that I have of you, of our relationship, this shouldn't have happened. I'm okay with incremental growth. I'm okay with expansion growth, but quantum growth? No, Skippy. No, that doesn't happen on my watch. I don't know how to explain that. Because if you quantum leap, it means I can quantum leap. Now my comfort zone really turns into a shit zone. And I don't like that. I liked when we were both together in a pain zone and we both hypnotically and blindly called it a comfort zone. So now you step out, you do this quantum leap, you step in, and quantum leap for most people is when they wake up in joy instead of in pain and misery. They don't come to the consciousness awareness of who they are and fall back into life and say, oh my gosh. So what happens is that as you step into this quantum leap, people will say, have you lost your mind? What are you doing? See, you took some action. They don't ask you, you're the same person. If you ate at lunch and you both had blindfolds on and talked, you would be eating the same exact way. Your doing is the same. You know what changes? Guess what changes? When you do this quantum leap, your doing is the same. The reason it changes at a harmonic level, at a vibrational level, at a spiritual level, at a universally connected level, is that it's not your doing that changes, it's your being that changes. And since most people aren't being, they're simply doing life, which is a partial living of life. And when you start to do and be life, you start to live life at a whole new level. And all of a sudden, people get pissed at you because you're being something different. So now the question comes, how do I become more? Well, the problem is that most people are asking people, how do I become more, to people who don't want to become more, people who have accelerated, who have lived a couple of quantum leaps, and all of a sudden they're sitting on third base thinking they hit a triple, but they've tripped over third base and hung out at third base long enough, and people think, oh my God, they're successful. They hit a triple. They tripped over it. Most people are born on third base and think they hit a triple. So what does it mean? What are the indicators of a partial life? You blame other people for things in your life. You blame other people in your life for delays in your own. Listen, if you were a truly holistic being, if you were truly a faithful being, if you were truly a masterpiece of your faith, how offended could you be? How delayed could you be? There's people who I know who can recite me Bible and verse and think that suffering is a part of life. Really? They think that they have riches in heaven. I believe you have riches in heaven. Why are you waiting? God said, I made you in my likeness and in my form. The least of you can do this and more. Why are you Why are you hoping and complaining that there are riches in someplace else when you have this opportunity right now to live the highest riches that you can? The challenge is that we're programmed to do what other people tell us to do. We're so attached to doing, we forgot what it's like to be. Any moms out there, when you're watching your child and you're doing AKA nothing and you're watching your child sleep, you're laying next to them when they're little babies and you're feeling them breathe and their heartbeat on your chest, are you really doing a whole bunch of stuff, or are you just being in the moment? when they're at their play and you're mouthing the words they're saying. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even, I say that because I was Santa Claus in a third grade play. And the teacher, Mrs. Wynn, had to stop the piano and look at me because I was behind the chimney that I arose. And then laying a finger aside, he arose the chimney with such a fright and blah, blah, blah. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. And I couldn't remember. I was too excited because my mom and dad saw me and they were clapping, and Mrs. Wynn stopped the piano and gave me the look. Say your line. It's because I was so excited about the play was almost over. I was so excited that I was Santa Claus. And people get upset if you don't hit your mark. What is the mark people are telling you should hit? What is the line, the phrase that you are saying called your life that's keeping you from living your extraordinary life? See, Joseph Campbell in his book, The Hero's Journey, A Journey of 1,000 Faces, Hero of 1,000 Faces, it's called The Hero's Journey. The first step is from the ordinary to the extraordinary. And if you answer that call, most people never make it to the extraordinary. They go, and they come back. They go and they come back. They go and they come back. They go and they come back. They live at peace and they go back because nobody likes them. Everybody keeps saying, have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind? And you tell them, listen, I'm going on a spiritual, emotional, a physical, a mental journey. I'm not asking you to go, but I am going to ask you to stop hanging on to my baggage. I want to go from the ordinary to the extraordinary. And then the next phase is you get the call to adventure. Most people never make it to there. They dream about it. They talk about their comfort zone. They talk about this place that they're stuck in. They talk about this comfort zone that I'm in. Why the hell is it so comfortable if you want to leave it? Start calling it what it is, and you'll be amazed at how your reticular activating system, your RAS, your reticular activating system, out of the 20 million bits of data going into your brain, instantly right now, every second, not every minute, not every hour, every second, 20 million bits of data. You're consciously aware of about 40 that are in the cognitive part of your mind that you are aware of. The other, I don't even know the number, 19,999,080, 660 bits of data. The other 19 million bits of data are being sifted and sorted to find out, are there any patterns that are being interrupted that the amygdala, the fight or flight system, needs to be prepared for, because it's the fire alarm. Hey, what was that noise? What was that noise? What was this? And anything that happens that's out of the ordinary, any of the pattern interrupt, causes you to be distracted. And therefore, the step you're about to take into your infinite journey, your infinite joy, that step, you got distracted. Because you didn't tell your higher self it's okay to be in control. This is why people do crazy things like take cold showers. All of this is in your body. It's a phenomenon of neuroencoding. Neuroencoded. Brain messages encoded in your body. I could say, hey, listen, tomorrow morning, actually this afternoon at 9 o'clock, this morning at 9 o'clock, you have to speak in front of 50 people you haven't met before, and you have to talk 5 minutes. 5-minute speech is harder than an hour. You have to give a 5-minute presentation on what you're going to have for lunch. Some of you would literally pass the F out. Some of you would just pass out. Others of you would say, yeah, I could do it, until the moment you need to step on stage. This is the challenge. It's the moment you need to show up. It's the moment you step into your new being, your new quantum jump, that we become so nervous. Listen, my cousin Google has got all the answers. You can Google anything and get 1 million answers in 0.8 seconds. Why is it such a challenge? If all of the doing is available, why aren't we being it? Because nobody's teaching being. The gurus are, Sadhguru, Osho are doing it. Here's the challenge. I Googled something this morning, and the question was, First, it is possible to relax only when death is certainty. When death is a certainty. Relaxing is difficult when things are uncertain. Why do you think most people have acid indigestion and reflux and all of these bodily disorders? Because there's no relaxation. If you know that you're going to die today, all fear will disappear. What is the point of wasting time? You only have one day to live. Live as intensely as possible. Live as totally as possible. Death may not come. Death cannot come to people who are very intensely and who live very intensely and very totally. And even if it comes, those people who have lived totally will welcome it because it's a great relief. Are they tired of living? They are tired of living. They live so totally intense. So death comes like a friend. Just after a whole day's hard work, night comes as a relaxation, as a beautiful sleep. So does death come after life. Death is nothing ugly about it. You can't find anything cleaner. Listen to this phrase. I'm going to leave you, those folks who are not in the VIP group, I'm going to leave you with this phrase, and I'm going to give you a couple of things to do. Dance so fast that the dancer disappears and only the dance remains. Then it is not possible for any fear of death to visit us. And the fear of having to leave all this beauty, this friendship, and this love. It's being in the here and now. Dance so fast, the dancer disappears. What that means is if you listen to the book, if you read the book Power versus Force, he talks about the vibrational energy, right? The sages of our time, Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, all of them vibrated 800, 900, 1,000. 1,000, you disappear into, that's the harmonic vibration of life. You just simply disappear. On the other end of the spectrum, people that were very mean in this world, as we now identify it, Hitler vibrated at a 40. I can show you a picture of Hitler, and it will cause an emotional charge inside of you of such deep despair, because literally still the picture of Hitler vibrates at 40. The average person vibrates about 300, 200 to 300. 300 is the high end of the average being until they follow on their journey. So I say all of this to say, what is it that you fear? What is the uncertainty that's keeping you from living a full life? It's usually the addiction to approval. So how do we break that? Go about your day and be aware of the things, be aware of the decisions you make, and ask, was this mine or was this given to me? Meaning the decision. If you have a particular phone, is that the phone that all your friends have? Or do you have a phone? Listen, some of you may have an Android phone and you get picked on all the time. Drop an A if you got an Android phone and people say, you should get an iPhone. And then literally, I know people when they change their Android phone to an iPhone, they say, well, I finally joined. I finally gave up. I finally gave up and joined the crowd. How many of your friends drink they do tequila shots, and you don't want to do tequila shots because you still remember that moment from college when you said you would never, ever touch another drop of liquor again? Pay attention today. So here's your homework for today. Here's your success work for today. Pay attention to the moments of your life. Pay attention to the moments of your life and ask, is this a decision that was of my own creation, not choosing, my own creation? Or am I following a crowd of people I want to be a part of? It's okay to be a part of a community. Communities are necessary. They become cult-like when you no longer have the decision part of it. So I love you tons. And the way a lot of becoming fully engaged in life is being able to live a life in complete gratitude. That's where most of us fall short in living our full life, is that we live a partial life. Only when things are good are we happy. There's nothing bad in life. There's nothing good in life. I promise you that worst thing that happened to you, could it have been worse? 100% of the time in 30 plus countries and 40 different languages that I've worked in. Every person that says, yes, it could be worse. Don't want it. I didn't ask you if you wanted it to be worse. I asked, could it be worse? And the answer is always, always, always yes. I ask, what's the most joyous moment in your life? And they think about that, and a smile crosses across their face, runs across their cheeks. And I say, could it have been better? And they go, I don't know how. Could it have been one infantile speck better? And the answer is always, always yes. So nothing is ever bad because it could be worse, and nothing is ever great. It could be better. We have to decide, when will we take the boundaries off? A friend of mine, R.C. Cardenas, says, when do we take the bumpers out and we allow the availability of the gutter to exist? It puts a little excitement back in there. Listen, a yes will never work in life if a no is not possible. A forced yes isn't a yes. So what do you have the chance to say yes to? What do you have the chance to say no to? Which will you choose, and then live it fully? I pray that helps you today. I know it helps me. A lot of what I do on my morning shows in the last 1,200 episodes is to teach me and take you on the journey. I am not prophesizing. I am not claiming to be a know-it-all or an educated service. I'm just sharing with you my lessons as I go along my journey, stumbling and fumbling and bumbling along. And hopefully there's things that I can do, things that I have done, experiences that I've had that will allow you to go, don't do that shit. Well, that looks like that hurt. So there you go. I appreciate you, YouTube. Thank you so very much. I hope you have an incredible day. I will see you all where? At the next event. Thanks, everybody, and bye for now.